So this week it's Wheels and Waves Festival in Biarritz. It's kind of like a celebration of motorcycling and surfing. Now, pretty much every year, Honda commissions some custom bikes, and this year it's the turn of the Rebels. So a few 500s and a few 1100s. Some really tasty builds, and so I thought we'd take a look at them. And if you watch all the way through, you can let me know your favorite at the end in the comments. So first up, we've got the Moto Vega. This is a 500 and it's built by the builder of the same name, Moto Vega, in Braga in Portugal. And it's pretty much all about the paint. It's got a super distinctive design, and they say it took inspiration from 16th century Spanish armor and Florentine lilies. They've used that pattern on the tank, the side panels, the mudguard, the headlight shroud, and even the clutch cover. And then they've topped it off with a seat from the Honda accessories catalog with a pressed diamond pattern. There's fork boots and fork covers, again they're from the Honda catalog, so you could stick them on your own Rebel. And then a black Vance & Hines silencer that ought to add a touch of spice to proceedings. Number 2, and this one is called Lucy, and again it's a 500, and this one is built by Honda Garonda in Portugal. Honda Garonda. Now it's got a pop-in white and gold color scheme, and they say it takes its inspiration from two places. Firstly, the Portuguese sunshine, and secondly, the classic CB175 of the late 60s and early 70s. So there's custom paint on the wheels, the mudguards, the headlight shroud, and the fuel tank, along with a custom Rebel logo and white walled tires. This one also gets the fork boots, the fork covers, the diamond seat, and the Vance & Hines silencer, but also some upgraded rear shocks and a beefier looking radiator guard. Now this third bike is the 5.4 Honda Rebel Street, again a 500, and this one was built by Guy Willison of 5.4 Motorcycles here in the UK. I've been lucky enough to meet Guy and film a tour of the workshop while he was building some limited edition bikes for Honda, and I absolutely loved that he was still like fabricating parts by hand and doing pretty much all of it himself whilst knocking out bikes for like the biggest motorcycle manufacturer on the planet. And again, no corners have been cut with this build because it takes, a 500 cruiser platform and turns it into a flat tracker for the street. The list of parts on this bike is pretty extensive. So we've got custom spoke wheels on red hubs with sticky Metzler Roadtech rubber, wavy discs, upgraded rear shocks from YSS, a tracker style tail unit with a custom diamond stitch seat. There's a different fuel tank. I don't know if anyone recognizes that. It's certainly not the Rebels tank, but let me know in the comments if you know what it is. Brazilian hardwood grips, a mini Speedo, custom bars and custom levers, a stainless number board at the front with LED projector lights, mini LED indicators, a mirror polished under tray, a race fit stubby silencer, and I think that's it. Also, it's got this mad paint effect as well that looks like it's all crackling. It really does look very cool. Now, before we get on to the next one, I'd just like to say a quick thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. If you're not already familiar with what a VPN does, they essentially keep you safe online by masking your activity. Stronger encryption means that your data can't be intercepted, and it also reduces the amount of data that companies collect about you by anonymizing your traffic. On top of that, you can also connect to one of their 5,500 servers all across the globe to access content from that specific region. So especially with a relatively niche hobby like motorcycling, it can be difficult to find stuff to watch. But NordVPN opens up the international libraries of all your favorite streaming services like Netflix, as well as regionally blocked websites. Honestly, I've been using NordVPN for some time now, and I've been super impressed with how fast and stable the connection is. It's easily quick enough to watch video content. I'd thoroughly recommend you check it out, and if you head to nordvpn.com/MOTOBOB, you can get a huge discount on a 2-year deal, as well as a 30-day no quibble money back guarantee. So if you don't like it, then you're no worse off. Again, a massive thanks to NordVPN for their support. Anyway, back to the bikes, and number 4 is called Manboard, and this is a 500, and it's built by Motocicli Adachi in Sardinia. This is another build where it looks like a lot of effort has gone into it, and this one takes its inspiration from the sand racers of the 1930s. So as such, they've completely changed the front end. They've removed the regular fork and then replaced it with this proper old school looking Springer fork, and and then also fitted some 19-inch wire-spoked wheels. The front brake is gone because who needs a front brake on sand? They fitted knobbly Mitas tires to contribute to that sort of off-roady look. And then they've also upgraded the rear shocks courtesy of Öhlins. Now it gets a custom number board both front and rear, and they've finished it with this pop-in gold leaf paint. There's a custom leather seat with some man detailing, super wide sand racer bars, and then a custom exhaust system with stainless steel headers and an SC Project silencer to finish it off. This one with those straight through headers and that short little silencer looks like it'll be proper loud. Number 5, and this bike is called Akaimoto. This one's an 1100 and it's built by Akaimoto in Barcelona, Spain. Now this one goes in a completely different direction and it's got a sort of retro sports bike look. And they also say that Honda's own Neo Sports Cafe lineup, so the CB650R, CB1000R, CB300R, you know, that's part of their inspiration. So for a bit of a cafe vibe, they've fitted it with some custom bodywork. They've got a big old belly pan there and then also a cafe racer style seat unit. And they've also lifted the tank a little bit to flow into the seat. Custom paint is courtesy of the designer Chopin Art. And to finish it off, they've gone with gold wheels, clip-on bars, and then a wrapped exhaust system with a cheeky little gold end pipe. Number 6 is called Mikuniguro. This one's a 500 and it's built by Akaimoto motorbike in Madrid in Spain. Overall, this one's pretty subtle, but I've got to say, I really do like it. Akaimoto say that inspiration is the Honda D-Type, the Brat style, and also the Japanese bobber scene. And as such, you can see it's got that custom short rear mudguard with the flick, the chunky retro bobber tires, and then also some mini ape handlebars. They've also neatened it up quite nicely by whipping off the mirrors and adding some micro indicators. And then you've also got that diamond seat and the Vance & Hines silencer that we've seen on a couple of the other bikes. Now I also really like the paintwork on this bike. It's kind of subtle but cool. And it actually comes from Dave Designs, who's responsible for painting the helmets for none other than Marc Marquez and Paul Espargaro. Number 7 is called Majorca Moto. This is an 1100 as well. No prizes for guessing where this one's built. I'm not even going to say it. Again, this bike goes in with the neo retro look a little bit, so they flipped over the bars for a bit of a clip-on aesthetic, and also they've got the underslung bar end mirror. And I think this is going to be a little bit divisive, the exhaust on this bike, but it comes from the CB300R and they've modified it to fit. Certainly makes for a bit of a statement piece. They've also removed the rear mudguard and then they've added some striking color by giving it a green wrap with matte black and white accents. It's even got a little Mojito logo on the front mudguard. Perhaps that's a reference to the minty green color choice, but perhaps Honda's legal team got their hands on the tank because they've got a contradictory and sensible motto running down the spine. Number 8, and this one is called the Sport. I think this one was unveiled a few months ago, and it really is a beautiful looking bike. It's an 1100 DCT, and this one's built by FCR Original in France. Sportiness is the name of the game with this 1100. It's got a modified swing arm, and that's allowed them to fit a pair of Öhlins shocks and a 17-inch rear wheel from the CB500F. That's allowed them to fit some sticky Dunlop D212 tires with a fat 190 section rear, and elsewhere they've neatened it up with a lower front mudguard, a shorter rear mudguard, and a Speedo relocation to the top yoke. Now they did a complete 3D scan of the bike, and that helped them to develop some of the bodywork, including a custom polyester carbon fuel tank, which I think looks really nice. It's a completely different shape to the standard tank, just gives it a bit more sportiness and meanness. And then it also gets an Alcantara seat, a custom rear LED light, hand-built footrests, and a bespoke stainless steel full exhaust system. But for me, the best part on this bike is the paint job. I really like those little red pops, and they've used it in all the right places. Number 9 is also from FCR Original, and it's also an 1100 DCT, but this one's called the Bobber, and they've gone for a bit more of a traditional retro route, as the name would suggest. This is another one of those bikes that they haven't done too much. It doesn't look like super over the top. It's a little bit subtle, but I think it actually makes for probably the best looking bike on the list. So big, chunky, retro bobber style tires, the bobbed rear mudguard, wider bars, and then a custom ribbed leather seat. And then they've also slipped the forks down through the yokes by 25mm at the front just to lower the front end. Gives it a bit of a different stance, and then it also gets the same custom tank that we just saw on the Sport. This time it's finished in black, mirror chrome and satin blue, and I really like this color combo. It looks awesome on this bike. It really reminds me though of the Enfield Interceptor. I'm not sure which came first though, so I'm not going to make any allegations of copying in either direction. Number 10, also from FCR, but this one's a 500. This is the CMX Rebel Waves. It's their third bike in the show, and this time it's dedicated to the Wheels and Waves Festival. So they've gone for the surf vibe with the choice of color and the wave details on the tank and the side panels, but also they've upgraded the rear shocks, fitted one of their custom exhaust systems, and given it some beach bars, a custom ribbed seat, and a rear rack that will take a skateboard. So you can ride it to the beach and then park responsibly in the motorcycle parking bays, and then simply skate to your final destination. Now that you've seen all the entrants, I'd love to know which one is your pick down in the comments below. And also, Honda would love to hear from you as well. They've got a website for this series of builds. It's hondacustoms.com. I'll link to it down in the description, and you can head there, download your favorites as desktop or mobile wallpapers, and also give each bike a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And then at the end of August, they're going to announce a winner. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know which one you'd pick down in the comments. I think my two favorites are either that Bobber by FCR or the Street Tracker from 5.4, the little 500. I think that one would be the most fun to ride. It looks a bit stripped back. A massive thanks again to NordVPN for their support. And if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, then hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.